عشان شوف الفكرة إن نشتغل ناخذ بالنا صورة يعني بسيطة يعني رحلة ماشي.
In Egypt, civilization stretches back 5,000 years. One of the great centers of ancient Egypt was Thebes, located on the Upper Nile. Beginning 3,500 years ago, in the age of the New Kingdom, the west bank of Thebes became a royal necropolis, the burial place for the pharaohs, their families, and high officials. The queens and royal children of the pharaohs were buried here, in the Valley of the Queens. It is a place of austerity and tranquility, as well as hidden beauty. But antiquity does not rest unthreatened here. The survival of this site is by no means assured. In 1986, the Getty Conservation Institute embarked on the first of many field projects, coming to the Valley of the Queens to work with Egyptian authorities on conserving the tomb of Queen Nefertari, wife of Ramses II. The tomb contains some of the most beautiful pharaonic wall paintings ever found. "20 years later, the GCI returned to the Valley of the Queens for a new and broader project with Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. The project's goal? To develop and implement a comprehensive plan to conserve and manage the Queens Valley site. The underlying objective of the plan, created by the GCI and its Egyptian colleagues over the course of 4 years, is to preserve the historic features of the site while enhancing the experience of the visitors.
An archaeological site like the Queens Valley, which is more than 3,500 years old, has had many, many trials and tribulations over its long life. And to be able to, at this point in time, address the threats to the site, to look to the future for the conservation and use of the site sustainably requires a systematic approach and a very careful assessment of the past in order to plan for the future use of the site.
Over 100 royal tombs have been discovered in the Valley of the Queens. The majority of these tombs, closed to visitors, are shaft tombs of the 18th dynasty, which can only be accessed from above. The chamber tombs of the 19th and 20th dynasties are more easily accessed. Some of these contain vivid wall paintings, typically depicting Egyptian gods and the pathway to the afterlife. Preserving these wall paintings is an important component of the project.
There are 23 19th and 20th dynasty chamber tombs with wall paintings in the Valley of the Queens. And these are tombs that have painted plaster that is with relief work or without relief work. They also contain tombs that have preparatory plaster layers but were never decorated. And there are tombs that have plasterwork that was carved but never completed. The wall paintings in Queens Valley are extremely important for their historical and aesthetic value. They also provide valuable information on techniques used by the ancient artists in the 19th and 20th dynasty. The paintings are in varying states of condition, and these paintings have suffered from flood damage, which has led to structural instability of the underlying rock support, which has led to collapse and substantial loss of wall paintings in many of the tombs. You can see all the flood damage that has been done in this tomb, so this is really severe, and it has basically caused this major deterioration that we see along this crack, and then caused the serious structural problems that we have in this tomb. Integral to the Queens Valley project has been the involvement and the training of 7 Supreme Council of Antiquities wall painting conservators. We've had yearly periods of teaching, which has included both theoretical teaching as well as on-site examination and field work. So we've been able to involve them in all aspects of our project, both from the assessment phase through to implementation. The 7 wall painting conservators that we've been working with, they're conservation managers at various sites in the Luxor area. What we hope is that they can take what they've learned from working with us in Queens Valley and apply it to what they're doing at their sites, and that this can make a difference in the decisions that they're making on these important sites in Egypt.
The parched appearance of the landscape of the Valley of the Queens belies one of the greatest threats to the site's tombs.
The single greatest threat to the Queens Valley, of all of its many threats, is flash flood. It's hard to believe that flooding is an issue in the Queens Valley, because when you walk up the valley, it's as dry as a moonscape. Yet, the record is clear. You find repeated flooding evidence in the tombs in which debris, mud, rock has been deposited, to the great destruction of the wall paintings and the tombs themselves. The most recent flood was in 1994, and it caught the site authorities completely off guard. In fact, they had to borrow from local villagers pumps to pump out the tombs in order to remove water as rapidly as possible. Our plan is to address the flooding issue comprehensively. The first step in the plan was to create the new topographic map that shows the drainage lines, and then to create a simulation of the levels of water that would rise in the valley floor and which tombs were at most risk. We cannot build dams to retain the water. There is too great a volume of water and sediment that will come down off the mountainside. We have to dispose of it. Disposal will require some regrading of the floor of the valley, perhaps some widening, above all, to clear a new channel to the side of the entrance to the valley so that water can be dispersed beyond the confines of the valley as rapidly as possible.
Another critical objective of the Queens Valley Plan is to improve the way the site is presented to visitors.
Tourism is a major source of income for Egypt, as well as a source of foreign currency for the country, which is one of the reasons why it's highly promoted by the Egyptian authorities. But on the other hand, it has a major impact on cultural heritage sites. The reason for this is not simply a matter of numbers. The Valley of the Queens, we receive about 450,000 visitors a year. Now, that would not be a problem, but most visitors come during the winter period when the climate is most favorable. They come in large package tours, and they descend on the site in great force during particular days of the week and particular hours of the day. At times you get a tidal wave of visitors, and this results in congestion within the tombs and long queues outside of the tombs. The result for the visitors under these conditions is a very unrewarding experience. So over the last 3 years, we've been undertaking assessments both of the visitor situation and visitor management practices. But based on these assessments that we've undertaken, we've been working with the Egyptian authorities to develop solutions which, when implemented, will result in a greatly enhanced experience of the visitor at the Queens Valley. It will include an orientation hall where visitors can come to get basic information and services about the site. New bazaars for the local vendors. Areas of shade where visitors can retreat under the hot sun. And within the tombs themselves, methods of better lighting, of providing protection but without obscuring the beauty of the wall paintings. We also hope to greatly enhance the interpretive materials that we provide for the independent travelers and the Egyptian visitors.
managing visitors, preventing flood damage, stabilizing and conserving the tombs. These are all elements in the plan to help preserve this portion of the Theban World Heritage Site. The GCI is now working with Egyptian authorities on the implementation of the plan. The comprehensive approach adopted here in the Valley of the Queens can help guide similar conservation efforts, not only for the antiquities of Egypt, but at other threatened sites around the world.